Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Nadorf, and this is the welcome video for Winter Intersession 2024 Biological Cytology. So, first of all, I'm very glad to have you in the class. I'm excited to have you. I don't get to teach undergraduate classes very much. I end up more on the graduate side of things. So, I always enjoy this opportunity because I just don't get it very often. So, first and foremost, I wanted to welcome you and really, as you'll see, and I'll mention this again, encourage you, feel free to reach out to me if you need help, have questions, or just want to talk about things. I love talking about this topic and about psychology in general, so I'd be very happy to talk with you. So, my goal for today is to briefly introduce you to me, tell you about biological psychology and why I think it's so important, and then go over the syllabus and just kind of provide an overview for the course so that you know all the things you need to know for when this class starts on Monday. So first, my academic lineage. I always kind of liked knowing where my professors came from. So I went ahead and put together a little bit about that. So I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Notre Dame, and I studied psychology and computer applications. I first actually started out pre-med, but I quickly, my sophomore year, switched to psychology. And with that, one of the required classes, actually it was an elective, I required here, is physiological psychology, which is basically this course I took my junior year. And I did that because I was told it would help prepare me for graduate school, which I thought was a good thing. That's what I wanted to do. And then I went and did my master's and PhD at West Virginia University. It's an interesting place. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Morgantown. You may see that little yellow car there. That's called the PRT. I think it's like Personal Rapid Transit, it stands for. It's almost like a little monorail system, but they're little cars that go to different places on campus. It's really kind of interesting. So I did, as part of doing clinical psychology, we of course had a required course on biological psychology, and then I took an elective course on psychopharmacology. So to gain more understanding of the medications that are involved when it comes to psychiatric treatment. I also got to do a lot of clinical experiences that were honestly quite biologically focused. My initial one was in an insomnia clinic, and then later on, I worked in a psychiatric nursing home and also at WVU's Cancer Center on the bone marrow transplant unit. And in these experiences, I really learned that I don't think you can be a competent psychologist unless you understand biology. Because we're constantly trying to understand what's the difference between things people are experiencing that's biological versus psychological, and how we treat those things. So knowing the difference is important. An example of this, and it's not one where I was at fault, I did the right thing, but just illustrates it, is I had a client when I was working at the Cancer Center who was just very depressed and having trouble with motivation. And one of our main treatments for that is something called behavioral activation, where we really encourage the person to engage in activities, especially activities that they previously or currently enjoy or would find meaningful. So I did that because the doctors had told me that it wasn't a biological problem, that it was psychological, and that I could do my thing. It turns out, unfortunately, that he had a brain tumor that was right in this part of the brain that was responsible for motivation. So that was the problem, unfortunately, not the depression. But it shows that, sometimes things can look like one thing, but they're really another. For men as we get older, low testosterone can look a lot like depression. So knowing these connections is really helpful for helping your clients and also just your family as you go along and they start encountering things. I did my clinical internship, which is our version of a residency, at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. And I worked on the geriatric mental health care and research track. And one of the things that was cool about Baylor was that it was a split experience. So I worked at Baylor College of Medicine, but I also got to work at the Houston VA. So I got a lot of experience on both sides, and again, both health settings, and got to learn a lot about psychopharmacology. One of the things that's really neat is that the psychology interns were trained alongside the psychiatry residents. So I got to go to all the same psychopharmacology lectures that they went to and learned a ton about psychopharmacology and biology. And so I try to build as much of that in here as possible as well. So you learn a little bit about not only, the science, but also some of the art that goes into how we treat these disorders. We don't talk about it as much as I'd love to. When I get to teach psychopharmacology, we go into it in a lot more depth. But it's one of the things that we do get to get into some. So here's how to reach me. My office is in Rice Hall. There's really not a good picture of Rice Hall. That's about the best I could find online. It looks much nicer inside than it used to. Since it's a winter intersession, I know probably email's the best way to get in touch with me. I try to be very quick in responding to emails. I do have some travel during this time. I'm out of town the 26th through the 4th. I should have internet the entire time. So just be aware that I should respond within 24 hours. Please don't hesitate to email me, though. Don't hesitate to ask for a virtual meeting. I truly don't mind it. Again, I don't get to teach undergraduates that much, so I always really kind of enjoy this. We don't have set office hours just because it's a winter intersession class, but I'm happy to meet with you and discuss the course, or again, just discuss the topic. So, as I talked about, I really don't think biological aspects can be separated from psychology. I think that, to be competent as a psychologist, you have to know this stuff. And actually, about half of all applied psychologists work in medical environments. So knowing the lingo, knowing how this stuff works, is actually going to really prepare a lot of you for your future. The VA hospital system is actually the largest employer of psychologists in the US. And more we see that psychologists are getting employed in different aspects of healthcare. I know of some, there are a lot in primary care, but there are some that are embedded in like pain centers. And there's used to be one that just did bariatric surgery evals up in Tupelo. There's a lot of areas you can work. And then I actually worked in sleep medicine, which is an area that was pioneered by psychologists, and it's really a quick growing area. So there's a lot of health opportunities with being a psychologist. So, as I said, that's why this is important. That's why it's a required class here. So, with that, you've probably heard some things about this class before. It is a hard class. It's a lot of material and it's very fast. And with that, I really have tried to set this up so that you can be in a good position to succeed. My biggest piece of advice is both read the book and watch the videos. A lot of people think they can get by with just watching the videos. It's just impossible because for me to cover everything that is in the book, I'd literally have to read you the book. And that does not make a good video. This one's already going too long. So the videos are highlighting the most important things, but there will be things on the test that are covered in the textbook. So be sure that you read the textbook in addition to watching the videos. And ask me questions. I really don't mind it. The textbook is here. If you have any access problems, let me know. For some reason last year, people had a ton of problems getting this through the bookstore, and I'm hoping that won't happen again. But hopefully it's available and you have no problems. But if you run into any issues, just let me know. There are 4 main exams over the course of the semester, and they're each 50 multiple choice questions and worth 100 points overall. There's also a comprehensive final exam that's worth 100 points. And with it, I will drop your lowest exam grade. The final exam that's comprehensive is actually made up of past questions from the earlier tests. So, just in case that helps you. But do know you do get one drop because, I had actually, the person that taught me this class always said everyone makes an ugly waffle the first time. Sometimes it's hard because you don't know what the test will be like. And honestly, the first test is the hardest one because it's so much detail and so much the rest kind of relies upon that information. So if you struggle in the first test, don't worry. That's why we have the drop, and it does get better, and you'll get a better sense of what the test is like. So this is just illustrating the grading scale. So pretty simple. 4 exams for 400 points, one final for 100, one dropped exam, so you have a maximum of 400 points. If you do the first 4 exams and you end up with an A, you don't have to take the final, unless you want to. So all the lecture slides and links to the lectures are already on Canvas. If any of them don't work or there are issues, again, just let me know. One thing that can happen a little bit with the recordings, just so you're aware of them. There's some videos I embedded in my videos, and some of those are copyrighted, which you're allowed to do. But sometimes the people that are the original authors of that video will have it so YouTube skips directly to that video, or they show an ad in order to get income from my channel, which is fine. So what can happen is sometimes you jump to the middle of the video when you start. If it does that, just scroll it back to the very beginning and you'll be good to go. Again, if there's a concept that's not covered by me and you have questions, just ask me about it. I'm happy to tell you more. And again, my email is the best way to get in touch with me. So there's that. And with that, let me transition over to the syllabus and I'll show you that. So here is our syllabus for this semester. It's pretty basic. A lot of the things I already told you. The main thing to be aware of is the schedule, because again, these classes go quick. So just be aware. So what I have set up is, keep in mind I am a sleep researcher. Having a due date at midnight goes against my ethos. So with all these exams, they are due on the date listed at 9 p.m. Now, things happen. I know things happen. So with that, just keep in your mind these are due on that date at 9 p.m. I have the quizzes stay open without penalty until the next morning at 8 a.m. So if something happens, you do have a window to take it after this, but try to hit that date for your own sanity. Because I won't have any empathy if you say I missed the 8 a.m. because that's why the wiggle's there. So that's the windows. And what will happen is like that with exam 1. So it's due at 9 p.m. on the 21st. It'll technically be available to you until 8 a.m. on the 22nd. Then it'll go away. And then I have a little gap just so there's not confusion. And then starting at 10 a.m. on the 22nd, exam 2 will be available. And it will be available the whole time until, same thing. So it'll actually be available till January 1st at 8 a.m. because that's how you want to spend your New Year's, is doing an exam. So with it, on all these, for the whole block, each of these blocks, your exam is available that entire time. So like you truly may not want to take it during New Year's. No judgment there. You can do it any of these days. You may just have to work ahead a little bit. And then the final exam, I do have these all set as an hour in length, except for the final exam to be consistent with policy. This is for 3 hours. So you do have extra time here. Note that both of these are due on the exam day, or due by the exam day. Of course, you can do it earlier. I don't encourage you to do it back to back. I think that'd be brutal. If any of you have accommodations where you require extra time, just email me. I just have to set up in Canvas. It's not a big deal. So just let me know and I can do that for you. And again, if there's anything you need, please let me know. But welcome to the class. I'm really looking forward to having you. And please do interact. It's weird when I never hear from anyone. Like, obviously, you don't have to. It's a virtual class. But truly don't hesitate. I'm looking forward to having you. And have a wonderful holiday, and I hope you have a great semester.